So my name's Amanda Jenkins and I shall be carrying out this session today. And it's just to look at some options of slings that will give good access for hygiene and toileting scenarios. So we have a few styles that we will showcase, but welcome any questions. So please, we want to make it as informative and as helpful as possible. But we'll start by looking at our very standard toilet sling, which looks like this. So toileting slings, they have different names. They can be called an access sling, dressing sling, hygiene sling, but they look like that. And the principle really is to give access to clothing to enable a dignified toilet transfer. But as you can see, there's not much to them. So they have to be very carefully risk assessed for suitability, which we will explain as we go. But everything we talk about is detailed on our website. We've got really good information sheets available, so you don't have to remember everything, but refer to the website after the session. I'll just ask Rhiannon to show you and bring up what's available on the site regarding this product. So we have lots of, really helpful images. So we call this one the dress sling. And, the photographs really show how much access you've got. So lots and lots of access to get to clothing, but equally lots of access to fall through. So we need to explain the risks of this style as well. So very good images there. And underneath there's also helpful sizing guides. And this data sheet, the data sheets, it's great to print out because it will give you sizing, where to measure, for the sling width as well, which can be helpful because sizing certainly needs to be fairly accurate for this one because you don't want it generous, because that will then allow for slipping. So useful guide there. Well, we'll touch on sizing in a moment, but if you just, so you can see here the useful points about the style, washing instructions, etc., and safe working load. So we'll cover that in a moment. So all that's available on the website for your referencing. Great, thanks, Ree. So my colleague Judith is going to help me. So
good morning.
This style, so this is our dress sling. It will always come with a front clip buckle and a good Velcro band. So they'll have both. Velcro's great as long as it is clean and blog free. So always encourage carers to close that when it's not in use and when it's being laundered. Otherwise it will snag and catch everything. And you can tell if it's done that because the edging gets all fluffy and it can then start to cause damage to the main structure of the sling. So please always encourage everyone to close that Velcro when not in use. And then you've got the clump clip buckle as an addition. So 2 lots of security there. This one's got padding underarm. We do them with or without. So padding, may give a bit more comfort, but you don't necessarily need it. If the sling's fitted properly, then you don't necessarily need the padding. The other feature is this shaping here. So this has got some slight scalloping at the top of the edge, which you can probably see more clearly on the drawing. And that will give you a bit more access. So more access for clothing once you've hoisted. So if I'm going to put this on Jude, we're going to make it look easy, of course. So Jude, if you wouldn't mind. And we know often carers are in a hurry. So toileting is needed quickly. So Jude's going to help. So we need to put the band on, waist around the waist, and then front click. Leg paddles, we need to make sure that they are positioned towards the back of the knee. Don't start it too far back because once we hoist it, will ride up into the groin and be uncomfortable. So start with it towards the back of the knee. It will naturally adjust, and then cross the legs. So thread the tapes through. This will keep the legs together. If you don't want to do that and you've risk assessed for suitability, then it's possible to hoist with the legs separate, but it will open the commode up considerably, and then you're more vulnerable of slipping through. So we do start with crossing through. Standard instructions of use will explain that. I'm just going to introduce hoist. We'll go on a long leg, and I'm just going to go on the green shoulder, please, Jude, so that it's away from, spread of ours away from Judy's face. Always important just to check before you go too far. When the hoist takes up the slack, make sure we've got everything attached, so we don't have anything falling off and the sling's not wrapped around the chair. The arms are on the outside of this style, which will help with giving stability. Let's have a look. So we can see the access we get. So lots of aperture there. So to get to clothing, get to the belt line really easily. So this is why it's so helpful for carers. Quick application. The scalloping here gives more access as well, so helps with helping with the clothing. However, if we haven't applied this properly, then Jude is vulnerable of losing her tone. This can happen, and you may have seen that. You may find that the patient still wants to carry on using it because it's giving them independence, but this is not right. So what I'm going to do is share a couple of little tips with the application to help reduce that. So we'll just share those. We're just going to take it off, because the first thing to do is to make sure you've got the waistband at the waist. It is a waistband, not a chest band. It's got to fit as firmly as possible at the waist and under the bust of a lady. It's really important that you get it in the waist, and that the band is as firm as possible. Don't have it loose. It's got to be firm to keep the sling down, and then you've got the clunk click buckle there to keep it pulled tight. So ensure that is the first step. So then we'll just cross the legs and apply it again. So again, we're going to go on the long leg, green shoulder. And arms are on the outside. So we'll take up the slack. So before we go too far, so what happens now is that you've got someone sat in the chair, you take up the hoist, their body naturally elongates. At that point, that waistband's going to loosen off. So check it. And if necessary, pull on the webbing strap to keep it firmer and in place. So if we just take it up a little bit more and just check as we go, it's nice and firm on Jude. That very firm. Very good. So that's the thing. You see, if the patient can't tolerate that, it may not be suitable. Because if it's too loose, it's doing nothing and it's just going to do that. So you've got to make sure they can tolerate that firm fitting. So we've fitted it low and we've readjusted as we go up. So let's just now see what happens if Jude loses tone. Can you lose tone? And bring your knees up. So it's a much better fit for her.
Not bottoming out
Not
at all.
No. So by doing those two little tweaks, if you just really lose tone, are you really suffering?
Yes, I have.
So she's really trying to lose tone. It's supporting her really well. But if you thought that she was still slightly slumping through, think about a smaller size. Don't have the sling too generous. Certainly those 3 little tips will help enormously with the fitting and the use of this style for longer periods. I would say, you know, if you've got someone with no tone, maybe quite challenging, doesn't like that firmness, then it's not going to be suitable. If they've got no head control, you know, we can put a head support on, but, you know, it may be that we need to look at a fuller body sling. Do we have any questions on this style? We're all good, everyone's quiet. It is probably the one that gives the most access and is the most requested, but equally it has the most issues because of that access it gives. But you know, if those little tips are used, I can honestly say it will really help. Even, you know, with general application of it with someone with really good tone. The other thing is if you've got an amputee situation, certainly a lot of veterans will have really good core strength. And if they've got a long limb amputation, then the sling's fine. With shorter limb amputations, when the residual limb is quite high, then we can, as long as they've got good tone, add a little pocket at the back. So a little pocket that can be added onto the back section to help support a short residual limb. So it is possible. And again, that's on the website if you need to have a look as the pocket amputee style. Okay. So moving on then to the next style. Oh, you have a question?
We tried this sling in training and on an able-bodied person started to slip through it. Do you think that this was a size error? We were told that this style of sling isn't suitable for 80% of people.
I mean, it is always going to be down to the risk assessment. But if you've got an able-bodied person and they're slipping through, then it's going to be the fact that you haven't got it fitted firmly enough or it's too big. Absolutely, definitely. Jude, able-bodied, she couldn't get out of that. But I know that is the correct size for her and it was fitted properly. So there'll be a reason. Definitely have a go at smaller size and just check that waistband, because there's no way if you're able-bodied you should fall through it if it's the right fit. So have another check. And if there is an issue, let me know and I'll see if I can help. But there will be a time when, of course, it's not going to be suitable. So the next style that we can offer is the continental low convenience. Jude, if you wouldn't mind holding that, please. So this is part of our continental replacement range, whereby the slings are made slightly differently in a more structured fabric. But the features are that there's got foam in. There's a firm foam panel there and to the legs. So it's going to give increased support. The fabric, I think we are moving on to a grey colour, but it'll have this natural sheen. So it's really good to get into tighter chairs, slides under legs more easily because of the natural sheen on the fabric. But looking at it, can you just hold that for me? Compared to the first style, you can see that it's deeper and tidy. So it's got a deeper back. So here is going to give a lot more support. And the other benefit to this one is that we've got this waistband that's elasticated. So this literally hugs around the waist and stretches really firmly and then it won't loosen off. So really good, and there's adjustment for height and elastication as well. So it's a great feature. And the other thing is because it's removable, you can interchange the sizes. So if you've got a small main body, you could have a medium if you've got someone with a bigger tummy. So it's a great option there, and that just slides in. and through. If I put this on Judith, we'll just see the difference. Because it's firm, you know, you're only getting it to the belt line. You're not got to try and struggle to get it down. So it's been very successful for those that self-hoist because of the firmness of the fabric. It makes it easier to handle. Always fit the waistband at the waist, so as firm as possible as before. If we do need to tighten, we've got these elasticated double layer there to help stretch it round. So that's really good. And the legs, as I said, have got this foam panel in to help get under, slide through in tighter situations. Again, cross the legs through, hook it up. It is one that the arms are on the outside, so I'll go on the yellow, please. The arms on the outside because there's a little bit of padding that will help. Again, we just take up the slack. We fitted this firm, legs towards the back of the knee, the waistband at the waist and as firm as we can. It's not going to loosen off though because it's tightened enough with elastication. So this is the low convenience, which is a strange name, but it's so that you can convenience yourself. But if we just have a look, we can see that we can get to the belt line really easily, but the deeper back there gives much more support. Do you want to try and slip through? No, this is very firm. It's very firm. So the other thing that you can look out for, if you are slipping through, then it's going to bite in under the arms. So you need to make sure you can get a couple of finger width under that axilla for comfort. If it's riding up anymore, it's going to force the shoulders up. So something's happening and we need to keep it down. And that's where you need to make sure you've got it low and firm and it's not too big. But this is becoming more popular because of the extra support it gives. And we do find that a lot of stores now will stock this one as opposed to the first style, just for extra safety and comfort. And it will suit more scenarios. So have a look at the website for that one. It's called the low convenience style. Do we have any questions? So with this style, we do another version that will allow the arms to be on the inside. So if you have a scenario where you've got someone that has got painful shoulders, maybe they've had a mastectomy and they can't get their arms over, then the other style is the low back version. So it's exactly the same. Let me just show you, stop Jude from spinning. So it's exactly the same apart from it's higher up the back. So you want to bring your arm in on that one. Your arms in. And then, so it same lower half, but it means it comes around the shoulders here rather than the arms going out. It'd be quite difficult to get your arms out over this because it's cut, it's higher up, it's not scalloped. But it will give you that option. Having said that, arms inside means there's more chance of slipping through. So we've got to weigh it up. But it's the same principle with the channel there, and you get the elasticated waistband, that style. So that's the low back. Was there a question there, Bree?
Yeah, it is. I think she was talking about the dress sling compared to
This
that one. Yeah. Is it much more expensive than the previous one? That one.
Okay, so Jude, can you think the comparison between a standard dress sling and the low?
It's probably about £50.
£50 more.
Yeah.
So slightly more, but then you've got more security from this version.
Can you hammock the legs on any of the toileting slings, or would this be too high risk?
Okay, again, this is down to your individual risk assessment. Certainly on the standard dress sling, the legs are long enough to do that. On this style, they're not. So we know that it has been done, but you really need to risk assess for that.
And just one more question. Can you get clear access with with lower body clothes for toileting with this sling?
This one?
Yeah.
Well,
Definitely.
you can see, obviously, baggy clothing. We won't try it with Jude. We don't mind, we won't. But, you know, you can, there are techniques to pull down pants or lower garments to get to access. And there's also another technique where you can feed the leg section of the sling inside the pants. So you take the leg section inside the undergarments, and then you've got the pants on the outside. As long as they're big and stretchy, you'll be fine. And then, of course, you can go to the commode or the toilet, and then the pants are on the outside, and then they just pull down towards the back of the knee. So there are techniques like that. So it is achievable. It's always going to be fiddly. And of course, it's going to depend on the clothing. You know, try and get the belts or the top section pulled down to the hip line before you put the sling on. So you've not got the edge of the undergarments caught under the waistband. So get them pulled down beforehand so that you've got a start to get more easily remove them. Was that another question?
Yeah, people are just asking a bit more in depth on those techniques and if they're on our website. But
they probably no. Sort of removal of clothing. It's just there's so many techniques, and I probably don't know all of them. Maybe I don't know the best ones, but we certainly have suggested things. So it's a case of trying them. Just having a play around and just getting advice from colleagues as to what they found successful. Certainly there are many, and I just share the fact that if you've got someone that can tolerate the sling without crossing the legs, you'll have more access that way. So let's just try that. So if you can imagine, the legs will naturally splay, but if you've got reasonable hip control, good tone, come down a bit. You will get more access that way. So you're going to get to the groin more easily, more access. I think it also depends on clothing. It'd be very tricky if you've got someone in a fitted pair of trousers or that will be challenging to remove. You're not going to cope with removing everything. So they've got to have the sensible type of clothing to remove. It's a fiddle. I totally sympathise. It's not going to be easy. It will also depend on the size of a tummy, shapes. It's going to be fiddle. But if you've got specific situation that you need help on, then just email customer services and we will link up and have a bit of an experiment with you and try and recreate your scenario. So we're happy to do that. Any more, Ree? So we've seen this one as the low convenience, arms out, or the low back option with the arms in. And then the final style within this session is part of this continental family as well. And it is the easy access. So the easy access style is probably the ultimate in hygiene type style because it gives lots of support for variable tone, lots of support for someone that's active, but it gives great access for toileting. It looks a little bit complicated, but actually if we just break it down slowly and show you how to fit it, then hopefully it will make sense. There's a very good video online for this one, so if you're still confused afterwards, have a look at the website. It's called the Easy Access Sling. It's under the standard section of easy access. And as with all of them, you haven't got to go too far because it's only going to the belt line. So, struggling to get slings in isn't so bad with this family of styles because you're only pushing a sling down to there, about the waist. But with this one, got a few things extra going on. The sling wraps around the body, so it wraps around the trunk of the body. So you've got to cross the tapes over and feed it through the opposite loop. So to get it in the right place, we've got to get it in around the trunk, central trunk area. So it's acting, wrapping the sling round and acting as a support there. The leg sections, as with the previous ones, got the foam in as well. So the whole body of the sling has got this rigid foam in that goes under. And again, always position it towards the knee to start with, and then cross the legs. You have a question there, Ree, that I can answer now?
Yeah. Any advice on getting leg straps under thighs, specifically if the client is obese?
Okay, so if you've got a bigger leg, slide mitts, really helpful. Put a slide mitt on, and that can just ease and help to get the sling in. If you've got slide sheets, the little mini slide sheets are also really good. In fact, let me quickly see if I've got one handy. I can show you. Well, that's a mitt. So I've got a mitt here. So again, just to smooth things out as you're going underneath the leg, that can be really useful in your kit. Or a cylindrical slide sheet. This is a mini one. Just take the leg out, please, Jude. And sandwiching it in. So sandwich it in like that. And then we create like a roller. So it will then roll through and just gently glide it through like that, and then just ease it out. Do that way. Just gently ease that out of there. That's another way of doing it. Or if you can, and it depends on the size and access, but if you've got someone that you can put their foot on your knee with a slide sheet, gently ride it up to create like a gap there. Just literally in the right place, in the right position, of course, and cheating it a little bit here, but just to get enough access under there to apply, then that's another option. And another option would be to use a leg sling. So apply, mind you, you've still got to get it underneath the leg sling. So if you look at the bariatric section on the website, there are some really useful accessories. And there's a leg sling that you can apply just to lift the leg, get the sling underneath. So it could be that if it's very heavy leg, it may be helpful. But have a look on there, and hopefully then there's give you some suggestions. Any more? Okay. Right, so we've got this one on. Let's go back to the easy access. We fitted it in the middle. We've got the leg sections. We've crossed them. And then the third tape is a counterbalance strap. So this is a counterbalance strap that's going to allow movement because it will allow your patient to flow. It's on a slider, and there are markers here to set it to start with, but you can adjust it depending on your positioning. Got it on the yellow marker there. Arms are through there, so they have to go through. So if we just start by attach the legs. So we'll go on a yellow. Going to go on the yellow there. The thoracic section does have options, so you can tighten or loosen. We'll start with the on that one, and then you put the counterbalance on last. So it's on top of the other tapes, and it will allow movement, so it's not getting caught underneath the other tapes there. If you've got a third hook, put it on the outer one or the back one, depending on the type of spreader bar, but as long as it's not caught up under the other two. So what this is going to do now, it's going to wrap around Judith. So we're looking at a scenario where Jude has got limited upper body strength. So the sling's got to give that support. So it's going to wrap around her firmly. So anyone that doesn't like that firmness, then it may not be suitable. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay?
Very.
Is it very firm? Okay.
So maybe we have it a little bit tight, but
The thing is, let's just check. Leg support towards the knee, great position there. Good access. So still we have access to the belt line there. Full back support. This is a really good back support. It's got foam completely throughout and bones, stiffeners in there that can be removed for when it's laundered. So it's giving a lot of rigid support there. If we just lift your arm up, please. It's wrapping around Judith's trunk here and crossing. So in a way, this area is free. It could be beneficial if you've got a peg. So there's lots of benefits as well. But if you just slightly extend your knees, so you can see the counterbalance will allow that. So wriggler, and she's good at being a wriggler. Can you bottom out of it?
No, this is very firm. I'm not going anywhere.
So, in that situation, when you have got a real wriggler, that's great, thank you, Judith. It will keep her contained. So it keeps her contained. She's not bottomed out. For the transfer, which is going to be quicker than what we've just done now, then it is a great option. Certainly it's been very successful for youngsters that are active. Downside would be it fits firmly. So you need to be mindful of that. It also might bite in if you've got anyone that's quite shapely. So you've got to think about the situation. We could slightly recline Jude. She's quite upright now, but if we shorten the leg, lengthen the counterbalance strap, we're going to recline her better and give a different position there. So it's very versatile. And I think it's a great solution for your challenging situations. Any questions on that one?
I think James has got a question.
James, yep. Is he good?
He's got his hand up.
Oh, James, do you want to talk to us?
Yeah, I think I might need to speak to you directly. I can't use the app, but I just want to. Can you all hear me and see me?
We can. Yes, we can.
Okay, cool. Just thinking about removing clothing in slings. From our experience, like I've been doing this since I left school in 1995.
Okay.
I often think it's actually like to go to all the hassle of trying to do it in the sling. I often think it's actually better just to do it in the bed in the first place.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think that's what probably most people do.
Yep.
It's those people that want to maintain that independence that perhaps this range will give that option as well. But I think you're absolutely right. It's much easier all round. Yeah.
We fully appreciate that, and we always in Australia try to accommodate that. But at the end of the day, and I've seen some of the questions come up with your UK colleagues, like removal of clothes after the sling is applied is not an easy job.
No, it's not. No.
It's just universal. Just thought I'd let you know.
Yes, no, thank you very much for sharing that. And I think everyone will appreciate that and have the same problems. It's not easy. No.
Cheers.
And I wish we could find some type of sling that would make that easier. But then
Well,
if you're, sorry, James.
no, well, it's just you're working against gravity.
Yeah.
The body weight's going down through the sling. The clothes are in between.
Absolutely. Yeah. So thank you for sharing that very much. Thank you. Does anyone else have any comments or tips that we can share together? Was there another question, Ree?
I don't think so.
Okay, but that's the benefit of these sessions is sharing experiences, because we would like to know as well, to help you guys. The sessions are designed to help you with understanding what's available, and to give you tips. And from our experiences, we've learned this from listening to you. So, please feedback as much as you can so that we can share. We have a question. Sarah.
Hiya, hi.
Hi.
Like this is always like one of my most difficult things is toileting. People wanting to maintain toileting and then trying to introduce a hoist and sling for this. Like I'm just thinking of a recent case, and I was just agreeing with that, James, about removing clothing is always so difficult. But so we had it with a client where we hoisted him onto the commode. And then, sorry to be quite graphic, but the client was a male, and his penis then wasn't hanging down, and then his legs were so close that the carers couldn't reposition him for that toileting. And then one of the problems was that because of the way he was facing, that then urine was going all over the place. So is that okay to bring that up and ask about that, because that's something I found really difficult as well with working with men.
Yes,
hoisting.
I understand that totally, and I guess that if you have someone that has got the ability to cope with a toilet sling, is maybe not cross the legs. So if you don't cross the legs, then it may be that is an option. The other option, which is a very controversial option, is apply this style slightly differently. And I would urge you to thoroughly risk assess this application, because I know it's worked very well, and I don't often share it because I know it's controversial. But with this shape of sling, which is the standard dress sling with a scalloping, the scalloping means that you can apply it slightly differently. And that is by taking the legs inwards. Jude, if you don't mind doing the other one, show you. And this has been successful on many challenging scenarios. Go green. But you will see the issues that then could present itself, because the legs will naturally splay. So we need to make sure we've got this waistband low and firm. The legs will naturally splay. So if there's a hip problem, it's a no-no. But if you've got good control with the hips, then you've got a lot of access, and it gives incredible support. Can you slip through that?
This is supporting the themes quite nicely, actually. It
is a radical thing, and I do please encourage you to just be sensible about this, because it may not be suitable. But we learned this technique from, I think it was our colleagues in Norway or Sweden, who always apply this sling like this. But you can see what will happen if you've got a hip problem. It will cause that, but it almost gives you more support.
It is making my hips splay
Yes,
to the
yeah.
widest point,
Yeah.
which is obviously when toileting, probably
Yeah.
for a gentleman would
But it might, in your scenario, really help to do a really, really thorough risk assessment for suitability. But we don't, as I said, we don't share it often unless we're doing a one-to-one issue like this, but it might help. And as I said, it works well with this style because of that scalloping edge, because it takes it through the thigh without bunching up. So I don't know, Sarah, whether that may be an option for you.
All right, thank you. It's all food for thought, isn't it? Thank you so much. Thank
You're
you.
welcome. Thank you. You can, however, if you've got clothing removed, all the divided leg slings, so the fast fit deluxe, all the universal shape slings, if clothing's removed, you can successfully toilet with that. So you've got the sling comes down to the base of spine, you've got all this aperture. So you don't necessarily need a specific toileting sling. You can successfully use a full body sling for a hygiene transfer. If you've got the clothing's removed, you've got the access there. And those give you different leg pickups, different leg supports. So, you might be able to hammock well. You might be able to, use the legs slightly differently, not connect, but you've got full body support. So, there are options as well with that. If you look at the website images, say for a fast fit, you can see there's really good photographs on there and you can see the access you get. So don't automatically think I've got to go for one of these. Don't necessarily need to. Do we have another question?
Just someone asking about if they will be able to re-watch this session and send on to colleagues.
Yeah, I think
for this one to be published with obviously the that's.
I will share the knowledge I have as much as I can, but you just have to be sensible. So be as sensible as you can with that radical type of application. But yeah, it's fine to share.
It will be on our YouTube channel, but I think Sally will send a link.
The link will be sent to you. So I hope it's been helpful. We try and make these sessions as informative as possible. We're always open to suggestions of other subjects. So if you have any suggestions, then please let us know. We'll send a little feedback form. If you'd kindly fill that in, then it's really helpful for us to improve or restructure things. We're very happy to take comments. But any final questions? No? Well, thank you very much, everybody. Thank you so much for your patience in the delay. To Judith, as always, for being my wonderful model, and for Rhiannon and the team for all their support. So thank you very much. The next session is in November, and I think it is. Are we?
No, I think we've got that at the end of the month.
Oh, there's another one. So look at the website. There's lots of other things. I know there's an amputee one coming up.
Complex is
complex.
The next one, I think.
So complex scenarios. We've got another one as well. So yeah, have a look for future sessions. But thank you. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye.